Hi, this is Kirk, the Bariatric Carnivore. Let me welcome you to the cult of carnivore. Yeah, carnivore is a bit of a cult. We have our own sects and denominations, different flavors of how people think you ought to do carnivore. And some of them have a point, and it's useful. Others, I think, are being zealots. But I think it basically boils down to four different types. There's four different types of carnivore. And it kind of reminds me of one of my son's favorite jokes. How do you know if somebody is a vegan or a carnivore? You just talk to them. They'll tell you. And there are people that are more than willing to immediately jump down your throat if you don't eat carnivore the way they think you ought to eat carnivore. You can't call yourself a carnivore unless you do it their way. Okay, I think those people are zealots, but they're out there. So let's break down the four basic types of folks that you're going to run across in the carnivore world and some of the pluses and minuses of their variation of the carnivore diet. The strictest form of carnivore is what they call the lion diet. And this was popularized by Michaela Peterson. And it actually is the strictest form for a reason. It is a total elimination diet. When you're on the lion version of carnivore, you're basically eating a ruminant animal, salt, and water. So that could be in, and they have variations. There are people, the people that do the lion diet for the most part are people with very severe autoimmune diseases. They react badly to any type of plant product, etc. And thank goodness there are people that have figured out that they can solve those issues, or at least put them in remission, or pull back a lot on the symptoms by simply sticking to meat, water, and salt. That works. And it actually, and it kind of makes sense for an experiment for almost anybody that is starting off on carnivore, because that is basically a total elimination diet. You're getting your body with the most anti-inflammatory food on the planet. You will thrive on it. Your autoimmune issues will go away, and you will be able to see what you are truly sensitive to. I had no idea until I got into this diet that spinach made me feel like crap. I mean, who would have known? I mean, I've been eating spinach, nearly my entire adult life. I liked it. I used to eat it all the time, but I also used to have lots of aches and pains. I never connected the two until I had not eaten it for over a year and a half. I went to, we had some friends over. They wanted a spinach salad. I made a spinach salad. I had some of it, and I felt like crap for 2 days. Who knew that spinach has something in it that doesn't agree with me? Now I know to stay away from spinach. I wouldn't have known it apart from carnivore. And you may not know that you are very sensitive to dairy until you don't eat or drink dairy for a couple of months. And then you try it, you add it in one item at a time, and you realize, holy cow, dairy wipes me out. Dairy makes me feel achy. Who knew? And you won't know until you test it out. And that's one of the advantages of the lion diet, and it is extraordinarily powerful for people with extreme autoimmune diseases. But, and so I think there's reasons for that, and I don't think it's mandatory that everybody on the planet go on the lion diet, but I think it's got its therapeutic uses, and it could be very useful. The next form of it is the type of diet where they go, the only way you can be true carnivore is to eat nose to tail. And what they mean by that is that it's vitally important for your long-term health as if you eat organ meats. And that can include tongue, heart, spleen, liver, etc. And the biggest claim with that is that that's the most ancestrally supported version of it. They believe that our ancestors as scavengers probably ate a lot of the organ meat. And I'm not quite sure that's true. I mean, when I look at a lion kill, they often grab the internal organs pretty quickly. Mostly what's left, if the anthropological evidence is true, that we really started evolving bigger brains because we were scavengers and we could break apart bone marrow for fat sources that really, frankly, we probably were not getting a lot of organ meats. So I don't buy into the ancestral supported thing. And then, there's what happened to Stefan Erickson. Stefan Erickson was a guy who was back in the 1900s, was living with the Inuits. And he ate their diet, which consisted of meat and fat. That's what they ate. And he thrived on it. And when he told everybody back in New York that that's what he ate, everybody said, no, that couldn't happen, because if you had, you'd die of scurvy. So he locked himself in a bariatric ward for a year, ate nothing but meat and fat, thrived, proved everybody wrong, and continued to pretty much eat meat. But from his description of the Inuits, what they used to do was when they would find organ meat, they gave it to the dogs. That was the scraps that they fed their dogs with. Nobody seemed to eat the organ meat. So I can't find any strong evidence that says that all of our ancestors, and in order to support good health, you have to eat organ meat. This is a line coming from a guy who actually likes liver. I mean, once a week, I want to have a piece of calf liver. Usually when nobody else is in the house that day, I get to eat liver and I enjoy it. I like pate. Chicken livers are fantastic to me. I mean, they're nice and they're bland and they're sweet. I enjoy them. So I'm not anti-liver, but I don't think it's absolutely necessary for great health. Is it a bonus? Probably, maybe. I don't know. But, when Harvard Health interviewed people that had been on carnivore for extended periods of time, about 40% ate liver and organ meats, and the rest didn't. And everybody seemed to be doing okay. So I don't think it's mandatory. I don't think you can find any science that says it's mandatory. I can't think of any good archaeological evidence that it's mandatory. Do I think it's a good idea? Maybe. I don't know. If you like it, I don't think you should be eating the diet of food that you think tastes like crap. And some people just don't like liver. That's fine. I don't think they're cooking it correctly, but that's me. So, and if anybody tries to tell you that in order to be truly healthy, you have to eat a big wad of raw liver, they're a zealot and an idiot, and they probably have a YouTube channel and they're trying to sell you something. Okay, I think you can safely ignore the zealots. But if you want to eat it, I think you're, great. If you don't worry about it. Then there are the zero carb people. And these are people that they eat primarily meat. They eat as close to zero carbs as possible, but they'll also throw in processed meat and coffee and stuff like that. Maybe heavy cream or cheese. So they're not pure carnivore as far as the more zealot members of our cult believe in. So, they're adding stuff in. It's kind of a dirty form of carnivore. And I think that's perfectly acceptable, because if you do it right, and the way I mean when I say you do it right is if you've done a good elimination diet for a couple of months and you're no longer craving sugar processed foods, you can start to trust your instincts a little bit more, and you can probably add food in and you can test things out. And if it's not triggering you to want to eat more processed foods and buy donuts, by the dozen again, and trying to go out and eat pizza, etc., then knock yourself out. I mean, this is one of the cool things about the keto diet and the carnivore diet, is that it's getting off of ultra processed foods. It's a healthier way of eating. It doesn't have to be a zealotry contest to see who's the most pure and all this stuff. It can really be just a great way to get healthy, and hopefully will be motivating. So don't be upset when you see people that are eating stuff that you wouldn't normally consider. I mean, I keep beef sticks with me when I'm traveling, as a emergency food. I can go a couple of days without eating if I have to, but I don't usually want to. So I like to have those type of things with me. I like pepperoni, I think it tastes great. I mix it in with certain foods and recipes. I'm a foodie. I mean, I like the taste of food, and the idea of being stuck strictly on a lion diet to me would be abhorrent. But, that's me. Then the final form of it, which is basically carnivore-ish. These are people like me who like fish. They'll throw in salmon or sardines. They'll do the liver. They'll throw in cheese. They'll do pork rinds. They'll dehydrate their own food and stuff like that. But they don't buy ultra-processed food. They stay away from vegetable oils. They don't eat grains. They are keeping their carbs down way low, practically zero for all practical purposes. And they're staying away from the processed food. And that's fine too. I mean, one of the things I love about being carnivore for over now close to 3 years is that I trust my body's instincts. I know pretty instinctively when I need more fat. My body just kind of starts to crave it. And because I haven't eaten processed foods in so long, that I trust my body's cravings. I find it interesting that I start to crave certain vegetables while they're in season. I like blueberries, but it's interesting that kind of desire for blueberries comes along in the fall when my ancestors, that's when they would be blooming. That's when they'd be ripe. So I find it interesting that I'm very pulled toward ancestral foods that are ripening about certain times. I don't eat vegetables all year long, and strangely, I never really have a strong hankering for them during the winter time. That's when I usually want roast and fatty meats. I find it interesting, but I trust my instincts. And that's one of the cool things about eating a carnivore diet, or and getting more and more from keto to carnivore. You find that more and more what is the stuff that's triggering you. Now, then there's the really weird gray areas. Do you want to throw in dairy or coffee? And frankly, we don't know. I mean, if you like coffee, you're good. There are some people that will kind of wag their tongues at you and shake their fingers and tell you that you can't be carnivore and eat coffee because coffee is a plant food. But it's also the most widely used drug on the planet. I don't think there's any real strong downside to it. One of these days I'm going to try a 2-month coffee fast. I think it was Paul Saladino or somebody had put in there, mentioned that, look, if you're worried about coffee withdrawals, take caffeine pills for a little while and wean off of those while you're not on coffee and see how you feel. So at some point down the road, I will try to go off of coffee for a couple months just to see if it does have an effect on me. But for right now, I still drink it. It's my drug of choice. I don't have many, but that's one of them. So that's kind of an introduction to the cult of carnivore. And, please leave down in the comments where you fall in. I mean, let other people know, because this is the thing that I'm hoping to get to people, is that, look, if I'm on the lion diet, I'm on it for a reason. I have this autoimmune disease. And the reason why your comments help is because it gives some people hope. There are some people out there that need to know that they don't have to be on drugs for the rest of their life because they've got an autoimmune disease, that they can heal their body through lifestyle. And that is a powerful thing, and it's amazing what your stories can do to help encourage people to take a look at it. I'm not telling them that they have to eat one diet or the other. I'm trying to hopefully convince people that realize that there's a spectrum. There are things that you can do, some things that you like, some things that you don't. You don't have to eat food that you can't stand. That would be stupid. Who wants to be on a diet for the rest of their life with food that they don't like? If I wanted to do that, I'd be a vegan. I ain't doing that. So, but if you are eating a particular style for a health reason, let people know. I mean, what's really cool about this, for me, is when I woke up without aches and pains for the first time in my adult life, and I started feeling better. And I became aware of what was really affecting me. That's cool. That's empowering. That's the joy of being carnivore-ish, to be in this tribe. When you really start to really realize the freedom of knowing your own body and knowing what works for you. That is individualized nutrition at its best. This is Kirk, the Bariatric Carnivore. I try to put a new message out every weekday. If you like this channel, please hit the like and subscribe button. That helps me get this message out to even more people. And frankly, your support, your comments help too. Thank you very much for watching, and I will hopefully talk to you tomorrow.